if you're a Michigan fan, you're going to have a new offense this year. Not just who's playing quarterback. You got a new offensive coordinator in Chip Lindsey. Power spread kind of theme. What can you expect from your new look offense in Ann Arbor? From a schematic perspective, from an overall big picture perspective. We'll talk about all that right now, but first things first, if you're a Michigan fan, you're a college football sicko, if you love ball, and you do love ball because you're watching us right now in the month of February in college football, the national title game was played well over 10 days ago, make sure you're subscribed. All we're asking helps us help you, helps us do more of what you want to see. We appreciate you for that. So the first thing I want to make sure we stress about this new offense under Chip Lindsey and with Bryce Underwood playing quarterback, I think the optics, if I am a diehard Michigan fan, and I've seen what we've done these last couple of years to Ohio State, I might be a little bit worried when I start reading the tea leaves a little bit and I say, okay, number one quarterback in America coming in. That's not a bad thing. We're excited about that, but also you're telling me we're running a spread-ish kind of offense. Spread, I think for some folks in Big Ten/Michigan circles, could maybe be another word for soft. That's not going to be what Michigan is. My point with this offense, your values as a team and as an offense in general, they're not changing. What has Michigan valued over the course of the last several years, from Sharon Moore to Jim Harbaugh? They want to be tougher than you, out-physical you, punch you in the mouth. Simplistically put, run the darn ball, baby. Run the gosh darn ball. And so it may not be 60% run like it was this past year. Some of that I think you even want to have a little bit of a less heavy on the run approach if you're the offense because you want to throw the football downfield. There's that part. But I think that when you look at what Chip Lindsey did at North Carolina didn't have an awesome season. They still ran the ball for over 170 yards a game. That'll be just fine if Michigan has that kind of production. That'll be just fine. So you're not getting away from what you have done in the past from a mentality perspective, but yeah, it might look a little bit more shotgun, a little more spread, a little more receivers on the field, a little less tight ends on the field potentially. That's not bad. It'll still be north and south though. You'll still have that approach of we're going to impose our will on you for 4 quarters. And if you can withstand that, great. We'll see you in the fourth quarter. But if not, we're going to make you say uncle and smile while doing it. So that's why Michigan has beaten Ohio State the last 4 years. That kind of attitude will still very much so be in play for the folks in Ann Arbor. In fact, the spread offense that you're getting from Chip Lindsey, while it helps the pass game, sure, we'll talk about that in a second, it also helps the run game. Because what you do in the spread offense, not to get too, X's and O's here for you, what you do is you create more space. And when you create more space, that's more space for the defense to have to honor. I have to worry about that slot receiver if he's lined up out towards the hash as a safety, much less than I would have to worry about my run responsibility if I'm worried about the tight end running for a deep route. I can read that much quicker, I can trigger quicker, and that's going to help me add into the run game. When I have to worry about the pass game more than I was before as a safety, that creates, again, space for Michigan to run, but also it creates, you would think, a slower trigger for those second and third level defenders and allows Justice Haynes or whoever to get a full head of steam and get a few more inches to run with there in terms of what they have between the tackles to get north and south and punish you. So that's massive in itself. In terms of the pass game, though, what I just said, having more receivers on the field, having more matchups you can attack, that's going to be pretty straightforward. But when it comes to what you have at quarterback, I just told you, I think it's Bryce Underwood's job. I would be wildly surprised if he's not your guy game one heading into 2025. What I love about Bryce Underwood in this offense is they're going to give him a lot of freedom to make decisions, whether it be him calling his own number, whether it be him in the mesh point of an option play to give it to the running back, or for him to pull the trigger on an RPO and push the ball downfield. When you have a generational, and generational is a scary word, but we're going to use it for Bryce Underwood because it fits with a 100 overall grading as a recruit, the first ever. When you have a generational talent at quarterback, you make sure they can impact the game as much as humanly possible. And that'll be what they do in 25 with him in this offense with Chip Lindsey. Yes, you still run the football, but if you're allegedly paying this guy north of $10 million, it doesn't hurt for him to probably be the guy. But I'm telling you, from the skill set perspective, he's good enough to help Michigan. Going back to what I said a second ago, he changes the ceiling of Michigan football. Because if you don't play Bryce Underwood, let's say you play, and I don't want to name anybody specifically, but just say you play someone that's not Bryce Underwood, that can't take off and hurt you from 40 yards deep on the ground game, or doesn't have the same arm strength to push it deep. When you don't have that to worry about as a defense, or when you don't have that as a play caller for Chip Lindsey, you're not accessing the full powers of what your offense can be. Like the RPO stuff they'll have dialed into this offense is going to be designed to make defenses worried about the big play, to be worried about the pass behind the ear if they trigger too quickly on the run game. And if I'm not worried about the guy at quarterback having enough to hurt me from a skill set point of view, then you're not maximizing the offense. You're just running a different kind of offense, but still having the same governor that you had on it the year before where you were running so much under center. So, again, not to get too much in the verbiage and jargon, but Bryce Underwood unlocks a lot more explosivity to this offense. He unlocks a lot more multiple options in this offense, and they're going to let him cook quite a bit. So, last thing I'll say here, you're saying JD spread offense, you're saying good quarterback play. What about the receivers? You mentioned the running backs. You're talking about the offensive line in a roundabout way. Here's what I would say for Michigan at the wide receiver position. The way this all works is that you just meet the requirements at receiver for this offense. I did not say you need an alpha dog first-round pick. I did not say you need a dude who's going to be an All-American. You just need to have enough there to make defenses have to honor it. And this is a different scheme. This is a different roster, different players, different coach, different quarterback. However, it does kind of feel a little bit like that national title year to me in terms of what you have or what you will need to succeed at the weapons perspective. Like Roman Wilson was awesome for Michigan. He was awesome, but he only had, during that national title run, one game with over 100 yards receiving. He was leading receiver, had a great year. It did a phenomenal job, but it wasn't like he was just stuffing the stat sheet every single week with multiple 100-yard games. For me, it's more quantity over, again, the one quality receiver. I'd rather take 3 B wide receivers than 1 A- guy and a bunch of C pluses. The reason why, going back to what I just said, if I'm a defense, I want to have the least amount to worry about. What helps you not have to be worried if you're a defense? Lack of playmakers. So I expect them to hit the portal. I think Fred Moore could be a guy that sort of ascends for Michigan this time next year, or rather this spring, I suppose. I think you're going to unlock more of that with Bryce Underwood. But again, just to put a fine point on this, just have what you need at receiver. I don't need game breakers. I need guys that are going to make a defense have to honor the pass game so we can do what we want in the run game and let Bryce Underwood be special. So a lot to look forward to. I believe in the system. I believe in Bryce Underwood in Chip Lindsey's system. I also believe that Chip Lindsey in large part was brought to Michigan because of, in some small part, Bryce Underwood committing there. I can't wait to watch it. It's going to be a lot of fun. The new era, if you will, of Michigan football, offensively at least, is upon us, but it'll still have the same kind of flavor.